Well, first of all, Business Networking and Sex is a little bit of a controversial title. It's about gender. It's
yes.
about the difference between men and women. And honestly, I argued for the title Business Networking and Gender, but my co-authors said Business Networking and Gender. Wait, listen, can you hear the crickets? Nobody's going to pick that book up. And so we went with Business Networking and Sex. So it's about the difference between men and women and how they network. And it's based on a survey of 12,000 people that we did all over the world. Every populated continent, Asia was well represented in the survey. And we asked them how they networked, how they got their business, how much time did they spend networking, what percentage of their business did they generate from networking. And we found some amazing data. One of the things we found was that men and women on average spend about 6.5 hours a week networking. Those people who said networking was successful for them spent 6.5 hours a week. Those people who said, nah, this networking thing doesn't work for me, they spent less than 2 hours a week networking. So there was a direct correlation between time spent and success. The other thing was how much business did they generate? And the average, the statistical mean, was almost 50%. But almost 50% of their business came from that 6.5 hours a week in networking. And so we got some really hard data. And of course we compared men to women. And women did very well in the survey. They actually worked a little bit less time, just a little less time spent networking than men, but they generated a higher percentage of business than men did in networking. So women did very well, and I think the reason for that is that women tended to focus more on relationships. Men, according to the survey, tended to focus more on the transaction. Hi, my name's Ivan, let's do business. And they'd get right to business, where women were more relational. And we found that anyone, whether you were a man or a woman, if you focused on the relationship more, you did better at networking. The opposite gender represents half the world. I mean, half the world is the opposite sex. And so if we can learn how to communicate in a business context, if we can learn how to communicate more effectively in a business context with the opposite gender, we substantially increase the amount of business that we can potentially do. And my co-authors and I, Hazel Walker and Frank Durafley, have both been involved in BNI and in training for many years. And we all noticed that men and women didn't quite gel as effectively as they could in a business context. And so we did the survey so that we could come up with strategies that men and women can use to communicate more effectively with the opposite gender in a business context so that they can get more business. And we found that. We absolutely found very simple but effective things for both men and women to do in order to communicate better with each other.